No one could stand between my men.
I don't know if you're aware, but Christopher Nolan released another movie this year. Coming off his success from Oppenheimer, I think it's safe to say this had a lot riding on it. Anyway, before I even get into the movie, which I finally was able to see a couple days ago, I'll get to it. Why I haven't. It's been a minute since I've seen it, and I didn't make a review as soon as I saw it. I'll get to that in a minute, but I do want to say one thing, because I had a busy weekend. I had a very busy weekend. I wasn't able to go out of my way and see it on Thursday, Friday, or Saturday or Sunday. I had a pretty busy weekend, and so I was like, okay, I'll see it Monday at 6 o'clock after work. And I get on before I go to work. I was gonna okay, I'll buy the tickets in the morning, and so I get on at like 10 o'clock. Seats are completely sold out. Completely sold out. I don't know when the last time I went to a movie theater or went to see a movie and about 8 hours before, seats are sold out. Like even the front row was sold out. So I had to see it just normal 70mm IMAX. I didn't get to see it in 4K IMAX, which yeah, it definitely diminished the quality, but I will be honest, I was a little drowsy because like I said, it was late. But I didn't know what to think of it, and that's why I didn't. That's why I didn't make a review then, because it was just so. It was very Stanley Kubrick is the best way I can describe how my first viewing was. It felt like cinematic hypnotism. I felt like this movie was like watching 2001: A Space Odyssey for the first time. No pun intended. Seriously, no pun intended. I didn't even realize that there was going to be a pun. But I genuinely mean that not as a pun, because when you first watch 2001: A Space Odyssey, you're just like, there's no way you can pay attention to what's happening, because it's just like so much is being thrown at you, and it's like the movie's hypnotizing you into putting yourself into the experience. And with this, it was the same application. I was being hypnotized, but the thing is, I wasn't being immersed, rather I was being mesmerized. And it was just preventing me from understanding what the characters were going through, understanding what the dialogue meant, and just overall understanding the themes and the morals the movie was presenting. So I had to see it again. And this is another thing that this movie did for the first time for me. Not only was the movie theater sold out for the 4K IMAX, but I actually had to see the movie again in 4K IMAX 12 hours later. I got up at 8 o'clock in the morning after being out, because remember, I said this was an 8 o'clock showing on a Monday night, and it's a borderline 3-hour movie, and this was an hour away as well. So I had to get up about like 6 o'clock in the morning to get a shower, get ready, get all that, and then leave, and then make it there to watch it again in IMAX. That's how like insane this movie was. And I saw it there a second time yesterday. First thing in the morning, and now that I've got my bearings on like what I think of the movie, I'm ready to talk about it. So, with that out of the way, I'm definitely going to put chapters in here. So this is when their actual review starts. I will be talking about spoilers later in the video, but this is the non-spoiler section. This is just what I think of the movie. It's epic. It's epic as hell. You need to see this movie in IMAX. The thing is, I don't know if this movie would be good on DVD or digital, or even in just a normal theater, like in normal standard 35mm. I don't know if this would be good or not. Like, I cannot wait until this movie comes out on digital, because I'm gonna put it in my Apple TV library. And if I like it on Apple TV, I'm gonna put it in my DVD collection. I was floored with this in IMAX, and that really was what helped me feel hypnotized. Is because like there were so many sequences, and I'll get into the spoiler on which sequence in particular, but there were so many sequences in this film where the sound was just deafening. I was covering my ears half the time. And the thing is, it's not like just a quick moment. No, it's like 8-minute sequences. 5 to 8 minute sequences with this insane ear-piercing music that's coming in. Either the score or the sound design is just barreling out of the speakers, and you feel it in your legs, you feel it in your ass. Like, after certain scenes, it would just change. Like, the music would just stop, the score would just shut up, and everything would just like immediately be quiet, and you would just feel like like your ass would still be rumbling in your seat. You would still feel shaking a little bit. You would be trembling. I'm serious. I'm not over exaggerating this. It was like, after certain scenes, I felt like, you know, when your legs get when they fall asleep, and when you get up to try and walk on them and you step on them and you get that weird feeling. That's what I was feeling in my ass. Not as like unbearable as it is to walk with a foot asleep, but it was very faint. Like, I could really feel shaking and trembling still happening in my ass. I'm serious. I'm not over exaggerating that. I really felt that. And I was lucky enough to get it was another packed theater as well. I don't know the last time or any time I've seen a movie at 10 o'clock in the morning in a packed house. Like, that's insane. Since it was a 4K IMAX, you couldn't have the seats directly under the projector. It's like you have to go under. It's like that final back row, seats, and then right underneath the projector, you have to like go under and then up and over. But I sat right to the diagonal of the projector, so I was seeing everything. I was seeing everything perfect. It was the greatest experience I've ever had in a theater, 100%. And I was floored with the sound design. Like I said, the sound design was just fucking perfect, man. I had no notes with the sound design and the score. And part of me with the score, I was glad it wasn't Hans Zimmer, because I'm starting to get a little old with Hans Zimmer scores and Christopher Nolan films. Like, I think Interstellar was like the last one that really worked for me. I mean, not saying that his work isn't bad. Like, it's far from bad. It's far from even being mediocre. It's still fantastic, but like, I'm getting used to the isms. And when I start to sense the isms and, like, you know, the normal Hans Zimmer, like, boom, like the normal shtick that he does, it does take me out of the experience, but it doesn't diminish the film. The acting in this movie was okay. I will say there's 3 that really push the envelope for me. Matt Damon, best performance I've seen from him since Good Will Hunting, definitely. It tops The Martian. It tops everything. It tops him in Oppenheimer, tops The Martian, tops Interstellar, even though I don't really care for him in Interstellar. It tops everything since Good Will Hunting, definitely. I don't think anything will ever beat Good Will Hunting, but this is up there with him. It's definitely number 2. There's a certain scene that I will get to in the spoiler sections that just shows him on full display, and I absolutely love how it was shot. Second being Anne Hathaway. I thought Anne Hathaway gave a pretty decent performance. She was definitely a standout, and it's really only because of 2 scenes that she has with Tom Holland that, one scene with Tom Holland and the other with Matt Damon closer to the end. Those are the 2 scenes that really got me interested in her performance in that, and went from mid to great because of those scenes. And number 3 being Samantha Morton as Cersei. She only gets like 5 minutes to do what she needs to do, but holy fuck does she do it. Holy fuck does she steal it. Oh my god, was she great in that scene. Oh, man. But really, those are the only 3 that really stood out to me. Benny Safdie does stand out to me, but the thing is, I'm not going to say his acting was great because he only gets 2 lines, I think. I think like 2 or 3 lines, if I'm not mistaken. It was only really 1 scene that he actually gets to speak. He's in the movie enough. He's in the movie enough. Not a lot, but enough. I would have loved to see more of him, especially with the type of character he's playing. I don't know if it's announced what character he plays, so I'm not going to say, but I loved him as that character. He really gave that presence. So I wouldn't say he was a standout, but he was one of my faves of the film. And the rest of the acting was just fine. Like, the thing is, I think the rest of the acting was... The rest of the actors and actresses, they were typecasted. So the thing is, they played their roles great, but they played them exactly how I was expecting them to play them. Like, Tom Holland, I kind of knew what his performance was going to be, and it's exactly what I got. But the thing is, it wasn't bad. It was just what we needed. Like, it was exactly what we needed. He gave exactly the percent needed to fulfill that role. And it goes with the whole cast, like Elliot Page, Benny Safdie, Lupita Nyong'o. They all do what they need to do. And oh my god, why am I not thinking it yet? John Leguizamo, he was great. Holy shit, he fucking nailed it. He nailed that character. Oh man, he was great. He was probably the most interesting character in this, besides Odysseus. He was probably the most interesting supporting role. Everyone was good. And Matt Damon and Samantha Morton were great. Like, they were great from start to end in all their scenes. The pacing, that was the first issue I had with my first screening. That first, I want to say, and I did have the same issue in the second screening, which is why I'm saying it's still an issue, for me at least. The first 15 to 20 minutes before we greet Odysseus, it drags. It does drag. It's edited very strange. It feels very off to me. And I feel like there's a lot of scenes that happen in that first 15 to 20 minutes that needed to just breathe. Like, they needed to just take a minute and let the scenes be scenes rather than try and move the story faster. Like, I feel like it's so important for a movie to open steadily rather than fast-paced, especially when it's a story like with this magnitude. Like, I feel like we need to understand what characters we're going to be on with this journey a bit better. And the thing is, the movie doesn't falter because while we're going through the journey, we start to understand what type of people these guys are, like their personality types, the relationships, etc. And it works later, but I will be honest, like, I just wasn't getting into any of the characters in the first 15 to 20 minutes. And it's because scenes felt like they were cut short, or they were just being cut around too fast. It felt choppy. And the thing is, it's weird because the movie doesn't do that. There's a scene with a animal, I'll say. It's an animal, and it has to do with an animal being indoors. After that scene with the animal being indoors, the movie just changes. Like, it just automatically turns into this, like, very well-paced, very awesome, very epic, very profound story. And it's like, was I watching the same movie? But if I were to watch this on digital again, I would honestly probably skip the first 10, 15, 20 minutes. It just wasn't for me. I wasn't getting into it, and even some of the dialogue felt a little off. And I guess that should go to the characters. The characterization, how do I judge the characters? Because there's a lot of them. And a movie like this that has a lot of characters, there's a good thing to a movie like this having a lot of characters, and then there's a bad. The good thing is that all the characters are enjoyable to watch. They're not stereotypical. They're not your basic just sideshow Roman, Greek, Trojan soldiers, etc. They're not just Troy again. They feel like fully realized characters. They feel like they're here. They feel like they actually have emotions. They have personality traits. They're not just one-dimensional. You know, they're not just there to be killed in the line of action, just to have a cool kill in the line of action. But the thing is, when it comes to characters that grow and change, they really don't fully flesh any of them out except Odysseus. And the thing is, a movie like this, it doesn't falter the film because they're treated as if they were character tools. At least that's how I perceived it in my eyes. I don't know what the intention of the filmmakers were, but I saw rather what the characters were going for. Instead of that, I saw what they were meaning to Odysseus, what they meant to his story, because I saw this as Odysseus' story rather than Odysseus' story with other characters having their own arcs. But the thing is, it works, so it doesn't falter the film. I think the number one rule of screenwriting, and I've wrote a couple of screenplays in my time, and the number one rule I always have is build off of a relationship, not off of a character. And the thing is, what floors me so much with this movie is that on paper, it does the exact opposite. It tries to build a story centered around one singular character, and they don't really get to have time to form any relationships with anyone else. Those relationships are either one, already formed, or two, we don't get to see a lot of it because, he's alone most of the film, or he's just having his own inner character arc with himself, and everyone else around him is what's affecting it. So the thing is, we don't get character scenes, but we do get Odysseus scenes throughout the whole film, because we understand, the more we learn about other characters, the more we start to understand why Odysseus why he is who he is. And that's how I perceived it. I don't know how Christopher Nolan's thoughts were and what his intentions were, but that's how I perceived it. In short, I know I'm kind of rambling, but I saw it as characters being character tools for Odysseus' story, rather than Odysseus forming relationships and us as an audience watching those relationships blossom and fold and change. So the characters were fine. Like I said, they have dimensions. They're three-dimensional. But the thing is, I don't really see them growing. I mean, Anne Hathaway's character and Tom Holland's character, they grow, but it's not fully realized. Tom Holland leaves the main setting of the movie for a while, and then all of a sudden he's just back. And it's like his character learned something there, and we can clearly understand that he learned something, but we didn't get to learn that with him. So I'm not getting emotionally involved with all the characters except Odysseus, but it's the characters being three-dimensional and me getting intrigued with those characters that allows me to get it gets me more attached to Odysseus himself, because their actions are what allow us to understand Odysseus more and get us to understand where he's going more and why his character journey is going the way it is. I appreciate it for that. I don't know if that made any sense, but that's as best as I can describe it. The story itself, it's big, it's epic, and it's exactly what I thought it was going to be. I knew, the thing is, it's not what I thought it was going to be point to point, but it's how it was put together is exactly what I thought it would be, because of two reasons. One, it's a Christopher Nolan script, so it's going to be told the way it's told. You'll get what I mean if you've seen previous Christopher Nolan films, especially Memento and especially Oppenheimer and especially Prestige. If you've seen those films, then you'll understand why. And then two, the trailers. I saw the trailers were doing, even on the poster it shows the Trojan horse. The Odyssey is supposed to be the entire journey that takes place after the Trojan War, but the thing is, we get to see before and during the Trojan War. So I kind of knew that it was going to be taking inspiration from not just the Odyssey, but other poems and books from Greek mythology. It didn't surprise me, which is why I found the story just to be fine. But the thing is, what fine was already high. What I consider fine for a movie like this is because my expectations were already up there. So fine was meeting those expectations. I don't think my expectations could have been exceeded from how high it was already, because it's the Odyssey. It's the greatest story ever told. I mean, the SpongeBob movie did the Odyssey. So it's like, how can you not know what this story is? It's so big, it's so grand, it's so epic, and the idea of doing a movie about the Odyssey is already a high bar to clear. But like I said, that's not disowning the film, because fine means insane. Fine means great. Ooh, costume design. Costume design was pretty fire. Costume design. The only thing is that sometimes I noticed it was only with the Troy soldiers, whether the soldiers we see during the Battle of Troy, their armor did look a little plastic in certain shots. It did look a little fake. And it was only in some shots, the helmet of Agamemnon. Agamemnon. Sorry. Word, no mouth right. Say that 10 times fast. Agamemnon. 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 There we go. Agamemnon. His helmet. It did look a little cheap in some scenes. I think the best is when you get to see his face, and sometimes it's only when you see the I don't even know what you call it. I guess the spine, the spine of the fucking helmet that hangs down. It does look a little weird. It looks a little strange. It looks a little fake. But it's only because of how certain shots were lined up with it. That's really it. I think the costume design for everything else is just absolutely perfect. And people forget that, like, you know, costume design, and especially in a movie like this, it's extremely important, because if the costumes are wrong, then nothing's gonna work. It's one of those factors where it's like, if this was even just mid, this movie would not have worked at all. So the costumes were definitely on point to the fact where I was immersed with the film. So yeah, costume design was really great. Anything else before I get into spoilers, though? I think I kind of nailed everything I really wanted to talk about. No, I think that's it. And before I get into spoilers, I do want to say I gave this movie an 8 out of 10. And it's only because of that opening, like, 15 to 20 minutes. If that wasn't it, this would be a 5-star movie, I swear to God. But I gave it 4 stars. Yeah, I gave 4 stars. I gave it an 8 out of 10 on Letterboxd. I will put my Letterboxd review in the description. I did have a lot to say on my Letterboxd review. I had a lot to say. I think I reached, I want to say, 800-something words. It doesn't quite meet my Secret Life of Walter Mitty or my Super 8 reviews, which those clocked in around like 1,200 words. So, yeah. But, yeah, if you want to see my Letterboxd review, I put that in the description, so check that out. But, yeah, now getting into spoilers. There's a couple scenes I really want to talk about. I know I was talking about in the beginning of the video of the sound design and the scale. The scenes I was referring to were the Cyclops scene, both sequences involving the Trojan War and actually showing that. I mean, we see it in flashbacks like every so often, but there's 2 sequences that showcase a good amount of what was going on during the invasion of Troy, and those were definitely up there. And the final battle in the palace quarters where they have their meals and shit, that was just all those scenes, dude, were just so fucking good. I could keep going on with so many of these scenes, but like, my favorite by far was the Cyclops scene. That's the one that is, I mean, this whole movie is pretty much burned in my retinas. But the one that really just floored me and I was just jaw-dropped was the Cyclops scene. And I don't think many people are going to agree with me on that. I think a lot more people are going to gravitate towards the invasion of Troy. And I'm not talking just about from the start when they kick themselves out of the horse. I'm talking about, like, from the start when we see Elliot Page's Sinon get impaled and shit. And I'm talking because we see it in 2 perspectives. We see it from Sinon's perspective and we see it from Odysseus' perspective, and it's when it starts from Odysseus' perspective all the way to the end and the fall of Troy and that final shot. It was just perfect, but I preferred the Cyclops one. They didn't just make him just some ordinary monster. They could have easily just made him, he comes in and he's big and he's bad and he just starts wrecking everybody and he's just shrieking and just wrecking havoc. But no, he's just a human surrounded by ants. If we were surrounded by just like a plethora of ants, most sane human beings wouldn't just like go like ha 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 and just like stomp on every last one of them until every single one is dead. No, unless you're a psychopath and you derive pleasure from that. But no, when the scene starts, we feel safe. We're like, oh, there's just another caretaker here. They got foods, they got great cheeses, they're a great cook. And then all of a sudden we see in that shadow that motherfucker coming in hot. And first of all, I'm feeling this in my gluteus. I'm feeling this in my maximus, man. I'm feeling this sound all up and down my booty. I'm feeling it everywhere. This is even before he shows up. And then when you finally see that creature, it's like, oh my. Is this CGI or is this really good practical work? And then the scene goes on, and it starts, I believe it starts with him eating exactly 2 people. And he doesn't just eat them, he very hard to watch. Oh my god, it's gruesome. I was jaw dropped, dude. Like when that happened, when it showed, like they could have just did an easily, but no, he grabs the guy, cracks his head off, chews it a bit, and spits it out in front of Odysseus. And then just plops the guy down. It could have been just a simple nom nom, but they go like full Terminator 2 Judgment Day instead of just Sarah Connor seeing the world explode. No, we gotta see buildings explode, we gotta see her skeleton, we gotta see kids turning into ash, we gotta see it all. And I gotta be honest, I appreciate it for doing that, because it does show what the Cyclops represents. It shows it in such a visually interesting way. It would have been so forgettable if it was just a simple chew. I mean, it would have been, the point would have gotten across, but it wouldn't have been as memorable as it was. And it just floored. And the ending to that sequence when they stab it in the eye, that shrill sound of it screaming in anguish is, oh my god, I was covering my ears. It was so loud, and it just, oh my god, it was visceral. It was visceral, dude. And I don't think I can handle that in IMAX again. It was so loud. But obviously that was the point. But yeah, the Cyclops scene, oh, it was so fucking good, dude. It was so good. And another scene I wanted to talk about was a scene between Odysseus, and this is the scene I was referring to when it came to Matt Damon's acting in the film. This was by far his standout scene, when he starts warning everybody on his ship that sirens are up ahead and they have to cover their ears with wax. And when he's like, hell no, I want to be the first one to do this. I want to be the first one to hear the siren song. I want to be the first one to hear that shit, man. Tie me down. And then you tie him down, and the camera just lingers on his face while hearing that song. And there's no sound going on in the moment because we get into the perspective of Hamish Patel's character. Is it Hamish or Himesh? I apologize fully if I'm mispronouncing his name. We get put in his perspective when he puts the earwax in, and the sound, oh my god, the sound design in that was awesome. It's like, okay, when he puts it in his left ear, it's like, yeah, we can't hear anything in our left ear, and then in our left, and it's just completely sounded out. And all you can hear is like little mumbles, and there's a little score back to it, but it's mainly just a lot of shots of it lingering on Matt Damon's face while he's monologuing to his crewmates what it felt like to hear that song. And it's just powerful shit, man. It is so fucking powerful. And I don't know what to say, because it's just one of those moments where it's like, maybe there isn't really a point to it, but holy shit, was that a great character moment. And does that give him so many layers. And it's really also due to Matt Damon's acting in that scene, which is just visceral and so fucking good. But anyway, yep, I'm gonna edit this one down. I've been recording for 45 minutes, so I'm gonna have to edit this one down. Anyway, so yeah, that'll do it for today. Please see the Odyssey. Please see it in IMAX. Please see it in IMAX 4K. Experience this movie the way it was meant to be experienced, the way it was shot. If you're seeing this in 4K IMAX, even in 70mm, you're experiencing it the way it was shot. That's the best way you can view this movie. And it's so fucking epic and so fucking powerful, and I pity the people that are gonna wait to see this on digital. I pity, because they're not gonna get the right experience, and they're not gonna like the movie. Take with that information what you will, but I gave it an 8 out of 10. I'm thinking about seeing it again in 4K IMAX, this time with other people. The second time I did see it with somebody, and they were floored with it too. They thought it was pretty great. But this is one of those movies where I need to see it with other people to see what their reactions are. So yep, that'll be it for today, guys. I hope you guys enjoy. Next video will probably be me reviewing Minions and Monsters, because I am seeing that today. So, praying to God it's good. I'm praying to God it's good. I hate the last couple of mini movies. I thought they were awful. But especially Just Big Mummy 4. Oh my God. But anyway, yep, that'll be it for today. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you guys in the next one.